Oh hey! I guess as you could tell by my conveniently placed clonk here, it's 2 in the afternoon, I do have the blinds closed and the lights off, but I'm not a weirdo, trust me, I have a good reason. So I decided to get a little bit of one-on-one time with my good old trusty 2DS, and man, let me tell you, I think this thing has always been better than the 3DS in just about every way. The DS came out in 2004, but even then, 3D felt really outdated despite Friday the Jaws 13th 3D being my favorite film. The two-screen aspect of the portable console was pretty fun for the first few years until people realized games. And this is obvious, as most oftentimes you'd pick up a DS game, the bottom screen would just be a map, inventory, sometimes it would just be a JPEG. Surely there isn't any more useless gimmicks, right?
You've got to put these goggles on.
Goggles?
Put them on like this.
In 2011 came the love child of what Nintendo once referred to as
あとは何でしょう。やっぱりそこへ入り
and so the 3DS came to be. And it's technically the third incarnation of the DS if you don't count the DSi, which who does considering they only added a crappy camera. Maybe it's hard to tell from my nitpicking, but I actually really love the DS line. I have a lot of fond memories with this device. When I was younger, I played Spirit Tracks, Pokemon Diamond, Kirby Squeak Squad, and probably my most played game, Super Princess Peach. Now, I know what you're thinking. Squeak Squad? Yeah, it was an underrated classic, and a lot of people thought it was only for girls, especially the parts where you had to tap to make Kirby Iron close, but I thought it came out well. What didn't turn out so well was the console's launch. The 3DS came out in 2011 to the universal response of, oh. As immediately after the release, Nintendo had to give a price cut and free games to early owners, as they quickly realized 3D wasn't as fancy as Sony made it seem. The decision to make the console 3D hindered the potential of games, as Nintendo pressured early developers to build around the concept instead of making the games they wanted to make. Did you know the PS Vita actually had a touchpad on the back of the device? I mean, if you didn't, that's okay, because neither did most of the developers for it. So yeah, the whole selling point of the 3DS quickly became a gimmick, and that's probably why it cost $250 at launch. Compared to the launch price of the original DS, I'm sure Nintendo could have shaved $50 if not for that pesky 3D. I cannot stress enough how much I love the 2DS. It's funny to think that if parents actually took the time to change the settings, then Nintendo wouldn't have had to make an entirely new console. Let's be real though, you and I both know Nintendo couldn't have made the 2DS console from the start. If you compare the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color, there was a clear jump in technology, as well as a clear jump between the Advance and the DS. To slow the release of the new console, Nintendo had air quote updates with the DS Lite and the DSi. Nintendo couldn't keep making the public wait and had to make something that felt like a new console. Now, they couldn't just release the DS2, because the average consumer would complain that the games could have worked on the previous console. Think of it like the early launch of the PS4 compared to the previous generation. Specifically NAC.
So is that what bits of this game do you think you wouldn't be able to do on a PS3?
Any of it.
The gimmick of 3D was a small trend at the time, and Sony was sorta jump-starting the prospect. They stated they wanted to start production of 3D TVs in 2011, and considering how well they did with Blu-rays versus HD DVDs, I think Nintendo knew something big was right around the corner. I think the 3DS was released to test the market to see if Nintendo could make a 3D home console profitable. With that in mind, the Wii U came out just a year later. Philips was also planning to release a 3D TV in 2011. The two companies, Nintendo and Philips, worked together in the past to create the Philips CDI. And a few years ago, Philips took Nintendo to court over patent infringements with the Wii U. There's nothing specific to prove that they actually worked together on the 3D aspect, but it's definitely something to think about. And as bad as the Wii U supposedly turned out to be, imagine if Nintendo pushed 3D onto you. One of the main reasons I prefer the 2DS is because the games work for every console on the DS line. The only thing you're missing out on is flipping the switch on the side and going, Now, despite me not liking the 3DS, I bought one, and it's a necessary thing that needs to exist because without it, we wouldn't have gotten the 2DS. It can play both the DS and 3DS games, has a faster processor, can hold a larger SD card, and I'd go as far as to say that if it was the last in the line, I wouldn't complain. Considering how well the Switch is doing, I honestly believe Nintendo will retire the DS soon. I mean, you can emulate DS games on a Switch right now if you want to, the potential is there. Come to think of it, right now is a great time to purchase the 2DS brand new. Once Nintendo yeets the console, GameStop and other stores will quickly get rid of inventory. I mean, have you been in one lately? What does their Wii U section look like? Slim pickings there. My suggestions for games would be Super Smash Bros. 4, Animal Crossing New Leaf, and Pokemon X and Y. But if you don't want to shell out that kind of dosh, Nintendo rolled out their selects for the console, and for only $20 each, you can get some pretty amazing titles such as Super Mario Leg, Lego City Underground, and their top seller, Olaf's Big Mother Truckers. Huh. I don't think I hear that bear rustling around anymore, so let's check and see. Yeah, I guess he left. Why would I talk about that dumb thing? What exclusives did it even have? Take it easy. Take it easy, buddy. This doesn't have to escalate.